My final thoughts on the recent turn of events and my goodbye. Mighty number 1156, Evie01. It will cost 10,000 minutes of your time to read this post. This will be my final post on these forums, as well as my goodbye. Now, first of all, I want to let everyone who showed support or was rooting for me, be it by making OC about me and spreading the word on the internet outside of this community about what was happening and what I was trying to accomplish, or by showing your approval and even nominating me as a moderator, or hell, even community manager, which I don't believe I'm qualified for. Within this very community, that you're all awesome people, and you all fought the good fight with me. It wasn't me alone. I only was chosen by you to voice your concerns in the most appropriate way. I was merely your sword. We all showed what makes the Mega Man fanbase so incredible and dedicated. The same dedication that made this Kickstarter happen to begin with and blow the initial asking amount out of the water. Most of us never knew neither could have guessed it would give a turn for the worse, even though there were signs. Yes, Mr. Kamiya, I knew. We did not want to listen, and how would we want to? All we wanted was our video game, a Mega Man successor, with nothing else getting on the way like it happened multiple times, with Capcom handling the franchise. Now going forward, I want to state very clearly that these are my personal thoughts regarding the current state of affair. I am not speaking for anyone now but myself. This is my last post, and I want to explain why I give up. With this, I am you should give up too. You're a free individual, and you are free to make your own conclusions and decisions. Now let's begin by stating why I came here to begin with. I didn't come here for any reason or to fight for any agenda. I used to be a forum person, but not anymore. I don't really participate in forums nearly as much as I used to. I only came here after I found out what was happening, because I felt this couldn't be left untouched or ignored, since it will trigger the worst imaginable kind of disaster for this game if left unchecked. That disaster has already begun, and it can no longer be stopped. The damage is done, so if I continue to speak my mind here, I will only be wasting my time in speaking to a wall. And Miss Dina has made sure to let me know very clearly that this indeed what is going to happen. But what disaster exactly am I talking about? People are pulling their funds in protest and out of pure spite and repulsion for such a blatant act of cronyism and climb to power, or because they fear their investment might be compromised by someone with an agenda. Regardless of it true or not, they simply don't want to wait and see. The community is being brutally fractured into two number 3 sides. Dina supporters, enablers, and SGWs, those who oppose Dina because they believe she is tied to an agenda, and also oppose SGWs, and those who just want their game with no pointless drama. taking part in a never-ending social justice war. Inafunes and concepts, reputation and trust is being ravaged. People that have nothing to do with this community and didn't even back the game are starting to own the project and feed it off like carrion bird, all for the sake of making idiotic and biased clickbait articles for the sake of ad revenue. And these people hide the shady business model under the delusion of gaming journalism. This in turn only makes people more angry on here, fuels yet more wars, and countless arguments where both sides never end until their bodies physically beg for them to take a rest. And they are arguing about something that should have nothing to do with this game. That's a fact. It is happening right now, and it will only get worse. Now, how did it all go so wrong? Why is this even happening here? Because of a single person, Miss Dina Habukaram. But what in the heck did she do that could cause all of this in the first day she told us her name and stated the job she was apparently hired for? Her first mistake was choosing a side and assuming it will not affect her on this job. And make no mistake, she took it. And we know she took it. And embraced it based on the countless tweets people dug out from here. She cheered for this side and supported it. Feminism. We know she is a feminist. It is no secret. Now, is she a radical feminist? Where does she draw the line? And where does she even know how to draw it? Well, that is a matter of interpretation and opinion regarding her tweets. In my own personal opinion, I believe that she really isn't that much of a radical and controversial feminist, and I doubt she even will be allowed to inject her agenda and beliefs into this project. And also, has been completely neutral on her stance when speaking here. She is just a young and thus easily influenced person who wants to take part in something that she believes it's important. This thing happened to be feminism. That's okay. That's her business and not mine. The problem is taking an instance in social justice issues is a double-edged sword if you don't remain anonymous and pretend to hold a job like this that deals with public relations and speaking to a crowd. Notice people like Anita. She fully knew what she was getting into and knew she would gather controversy because this whole move is fueled on controversy. And she took the chance to use this controversy to empower herself. I never gave her any attention because I knew what she was trying to do to begin with, and I absolutely don't care about what she preaches. Controversy fueled by feminist agendas is a bolt of lightning, and Anita took that bolt head on and used it to empower herself like a crazy superhero villain from a comic book. On the other hand, when Miss Dina presented herself to her community, she took this bolt of lightning without realizing it was coming straight to her, and instead ended up frying herself. It is kind of sad when all is said and done. So was her taking an instance on social justice issues that much of a deal? Well, for the position she pretends to hold now, such as community manager, it is. Her biggest mistake was letting us know her name instead of presenting herself as an anonymous person or an alternative persona with absolutely no previous history. If she pretended to play along to fool us, but at the same time not steer us up for the sake of the project. Assuming she really did have no intention of injecting her agenda into the project, nor has any other motives that truly wanted to just do the job she landed by cronyism in peace. Instead, she told us her identity, didn't bother to hide any connection to her past history, and then pretended to fake a persona! Which, in my opinion, was awfully cringe-worthy. And believe we will be dumb enough to not see right through it. After she was called out, she made the gigantic mistake of deleting tweets which showed us who she really was when she does not have to put on a mask to speak to the public, and thus her persona was almost immediately stripped away from her by angry fans within the community. Now, let's go a little deeper now. What exactly is wrong with this person representing the Mega Man community and acting as the middleman between the fanbase and the developers? Or in other words, managing this community? I mean, beside her controversial social justice background, was there anything else? What about her actual skills as a professional, or her motivation for joining this project? This is where it gets ugly. We all know that she never really got what the mighty number 9 fuss was all about, and was never an MM player. But she did support it because her BF, best friend. Come on now, is this really what you consider the Mega Man fan base is composed of? Naive children and friends were working on it. I'm sorry, what was I? Now, you all know the rest of the story. There is no point on repeating it. You all know who she really is, and that she lied to us. And keeps doing it unless she really thinks we will believe her tweet about the BF pre-order it. Also stands for the best friend pre-order it. You know why she is an issue, and why she needs to be removed and stripped from any position that have anything to do with speaking to us. Put her as designer or whatever, anything else, just not this. She is simply in absolutely no place to represent any community she barely has had any exposure to before the Kickstarter began. This isn't exactly an entry-level position open to anyone, regardless of experience, like flipping burgers at McDonald's, nor a strictly upper-level position either, that requires a ridiculous amount of skill sets and experience. It's a relatively simple position, but it does ask from you that you know how to do some basic stuff. Deal with public relations, and at the very least, know the bare minimum about what the Mega Man franchise is all about, as well as its history. It's funny because there are people that have actually been playing game before it was in and cool, who are not really die-hard fans of Mega Man, nor even backed this project, but have played Mega Man games there and there. You know, Mega Man 1, 2, 3, and then some Mega Man X and X4 there and there, then maybe some of the handheld game and spin-off, and that's it! They don't really care that much about it, besides being entertaining and solid games. I personally know people like that. And the fun part, that's really all she needs to know. But she does not even have that. But what about her skills? Okay, she had a rocky landing, but maybe she knows how to actually manage the community and add solid skills in public relations thus she can get away from this disaster? No. This person has completely ravaged the community in her first day on the job. A Twitch reaction. Reason to remove her from this position alone to this backlash was to delete tweets and lock her Twitter while it was happening! Are we all aware of how incredibly stupid and amateurish this is? The very first thing to do under such a situation is accept the damage is done, and there is no repairing it. And at this point, it is simply better to fight for the freedom of Scotland. And that word is freedom! Woo! Oh, sorry. I thought I was in Braveheart for a second. The very first thing to do under such a situation is accept the damage is done and there is no repairing it. And at this point, it is simply better to remove the cause of the damage. And move on. But if that is not possible, then the least she could have done is accept it while raising her shoulder and show us that she has nothing to be ashamed of and nothing to lie about. This will at least give her some sense of credibility and respect, minimal as it is. This is all she had, and she completely blew it away! Oh my god, you motherfuckers! You cannot believe the pain that I'm going through! I'm currently having a knife plunge on my intestines! I'm bleeding! Ah! Sorry, I got carried away again. She destroyed the only things that might have made her ride this out eventually in a completely dumb, irrational and reckless move fueled by panic and under the pretext of separating her personal life. And let me once again reiterate the entire ramifications of this dumb decision. Anyone can now forge fake tweets, and assuming they're subtle enough, they can be used to further drag her through the mud by passing them as legit, but she deleted it, and make people even more angry about her. And even if she claims they are fake, why will people believe her? Imagine her as a policeman and shooting herself on the foot the first day she's given a gun. This is what she did. Huh, policewoman. Funny. Ha ha ha, that's why I said policeman. So okay, very dumb first move. But what's next? Maybe she can argue well enough her way out of this. Maybe she's a very articulate and smart person, and she can at the very least damage control enough to get her way out of this. Not even that. We all know she's trying to damage control. That is the only thing she can do in such a situation. But she's not even good at it. It's incredibly hilarious. I meant my best friend, not boyfriend. That's right. She continues to lie! Even more, thus rendering any further damage control like, I don't have an agenda and I'm not even a designer and concept guys, it's okay. Completely void in the eyes of people that don't desperately want to believe her. Now, this is where I post my original big post. Oh god, I actually gotta see which one it is because it seems promising. You all know which one, with my fears and questions about her that many of us share. What did she do? She simply tried to rehash her answers and call it day, not even addressing the quarter of the post. However, I told her to properly address me, as a lot of us agreed my original post was pretty much everything wrong with her right now. If she would have done at least that, she could have proven herself, or at least prove she can handle damage control on her own. You know, manage a community. She failed miserably. Now we all know the rest. She ignored me, didn't show up for an entire day, and then simply tried to focus on other cherry-pick questions, or tried to be, oh, silly, in a pathetic attempt to try to cool things down. She failed at that too, and in desperation, I would assume she contacted her higher-ups or someone else to help her. This person ended up being Mark. Now, I have no problem with Mark, and I believe that if he had been our CMD1 to begin with, nothing will be happening right now. we will all be anxiously waiting for the next call vote and getting excited on what is to come. The problem is this person tried to damage control for her, and don't get me wrong, it was a solid damage control, even though I didn't buy most of it. Also, this person is a really excellent way of tranquilizing people up and easing fears, even if they still exist and won't go away totally. He is essentially the polar opposite to Miss Dina. Why wasn't this person our CM to begin with? He has no controversy haunting him, or rather, we barely know anything about him, which is exactly the way things should be. That is the kind of person you want holding such a position. Absolutely not. Now Miss Dina has lost even more respect because she has proven she can fend for herself, but instead she has to rely on others to calm things down. Isn't this redundant? Why does someone else have to come and do the job for her? Why is she here then? And who thought it would be a good idea to pay a man to do the job for a person they also have to pay but fails miserably at her job? Just what in the hell is going on? And who is behind such terrible business decisions? And on top of that, she has the nerve to state that she is tired from responding to questions. Excuse me? And will take 2 days to rest? Which came out horribly as, "See you on Monday, folks. They don't pay me weekends. Wink!" Dear God, will the disaster ever end? Please tell me this isn't happening, because I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Is she even aware of the position she finds herself in? She had one opportunity to shine and prove herself, and she didn't even try! And it seems her job must be safe enough due to her strong connections, because she keeps very calm. This is the person they thought we deserve as a community manager. This person is a gigantic middle finger to all of us Mega Man fans. This is basically saying, this is what Mega Man fans and backers deserve as the voice. Mamma mia, this is a shitfest. Where was I? This is a complete insult, and under any functional company. And chronism is the exact opposite of functional. This won't fly, and it will have been dealt with practically from day one. Let us be reminded of the fact plenty of people have lost their jobs because of what they said on Twitter while representing a company at the same time. It is nothing unheard of. What is bad for business is bad for business, period. Gender is also irrelevant here. This is where chronism is starting to become even more evident. This person having been stripped from her position because she wasn't picked by her qualifications. She has a safety net due to her connections and concept, and firing her isn't as easy because they wouldn't be firing just another employee, but a friend. Girlfriend? What is that? Why don't I have one? Thus making the situation way more awkward. It is clear her connection and job security are more important than our voice, and that is the reason behind this unnecessary, cringeworthy and blatant damage control, and trying to force us to like her instead of simply putting her in a situation where she has no contact with the community. That's right. Not even firing her completely. Just don't assume this person can hold a job when she speaks for us when she can't even speak for herself, has no clue how to deal with the public, and doesn't know this fanbase in the slightest bit. And then assume we will just accept her after everything that has happened. Now, I'll let you know I am fully aware that her position isn't anything big and is entry level. The problem is she has no business landing an entry-level position at a project like this with absolutely no experience nor skill on public relations, beside the fact she apparently knows Japanese and knows some guy. There are plenty of indie games and small business looking for fresh talent. There are plenty of places she can fit in, and she does have some artistic talent. though her self-insert art style might be horrible, in my humble opinion. She clearly has a degree on heart. It's just that not all entry positions are equal, and your qualifications are important with taking into account this entire equation. And when you insert all the variable into said equation, it spits out a negative number in Miss Dina's case. I'm also aware there are a lot of people working on the industry that work on projects they don't particularly have any passion for, nor know a lot about, but their skills are so brilliant and required that it becomes irrelevant. Okay, what the hell kind of grammar is that? The problem is Miss Dina has absolutely nothing backing her word. Also, there is a difference between forging a set of professional connections and contacts based on your experience, because people want to redirect you to the right people so you can get the job you deserve, based on your skills, and want to lend you a hand, and blatant cronyism. So far, you probably noticed I have barely touched on the point of being a designer. I am aware of the current damage control, where she claims she is not a designer at concept, and she is not designing robots and won't have any influence in the game. I'm sure she will be ignored in the meeting room, and many of the talented artists working on the game with years of experience behind their backs will merely let out a sensible chuckle, if she even dared to imply inserting any of her design choices influenced by her agenda or art style. So I really don't have any fears regarding that. The problem is that now that we know she has zero training regarding public relations, does not belong in this community as the head of it, and can barely type more than a few mediocre damage control paragraphs a day, and ask for someone else to do it, and she wasn't hired for her artistic talent to work as designer, then what in the hell is she doing at Concept? I just don't get it! If you're still reading this, then that means you really care, and I am proud of you, because you actually care about the future of this game and the franchise. What follows next is my stance regarding Inferno, where my love for this franchise rises from, and thus my motivation to defend its future. My stance on the Western and Japanese gaming industry, and why I wanted to back this project and will sadly be refunding my pledge in the near future. I've always loved Mega Man since I was a child. I couldn't afford many games growing up, but my father will always give me a couple of games every year. One of the first games I remember playing was Mega Man 1 on the NES. And the franchise has stuck with me since. I remember wondering myself as a kid how games were made and asking my father if Mega Man was a soldier for firing a gun, and why was he blue instead of green. He explained to me that games were made in computers, and that Mega Man was in fact a robot and not a soldier, and that he fought for everyone and not a specific country. This is what inspired me to get into programming. That mystery, which isn't such a mystery as a grown-up, behind how games are made with computers and what robots are and how they are programmed. My father passed away when I was still a child, but the video games stuck with me, and thanks to him, I learned what my passion was, programming. I have a dear love for this franchise, and I've been with it since the beginning, played every game, except Silver, dear God! And I've also taken every blow to this franchise in the way Capcom have mistreated it directly into my chest. The Mega Man franchise went to a cruel downfall after the PS1 era and never recovered, and might as well be dead now. But boy did I jump out of my chair when I saw Mega Man on Smash during E3! Ho 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 ho! Mega Man is back as well as my boner! Ho ho ho! Okay, where was I? And then this whole Kickstarter happened, and once again, I had hope. hope that Mr. Hinafune will reboot the franchise I love without Capcom and give us another game with nothing getting on the way. It was perfect. The way he presented himself, the way he spoke, it was simply perfect, and I immediately knew this will be amazing. I couldn't not. He promised us Japanese game creators with extensive experience in the genre, and he wasn't just bluffing. The man behind the level design back on the original Mega Man. The man behind a lot of the character designs on many Capcom games back when they were good. The woman, that's right, woman, behind the original soundtrack of the classic Mega Man games. Well, damn, Mega Man games out with the well exploded. What could go wrong, really? However, I had a slight fear. I've been a fan of Mr. Inafune for a while, and I follow what he says regarding the industry, and there is something I really disagree with him. He believes the Japanese industry is on decline and stagnation, which is not completely false. A lot of Japanese developers are stagnating, and that the future is in the Western industry, and Japanese developers should focus on making games that will sell more on the West. And we know how that usually ends up like, right, Capcom? I'm a fan of Japanese games mostly, because they're essentially games in their purest form. There are no agendas, little drama involved, no rampant pandering to everyone at the same time so no one complains, no obsession with making movies instead of games. They're games, and they are marketed to whoever buys them the most. Period. Oh, that means I'm over, right? Alright, thank you for watching. Oh no, fuck, I still have to read some of this. The Western industry have been plagued by these social justice issues recently, trying to pander to everyone at the same time, and that has played a large role in the downfall of many Western developers. BioWare comes to mind. Even though there are a lot of Western games I enjoy from Western developers, Witcher 3 looks to be my go-to for 2014. Mainstream Western games are practically dead to me, so I've always preferred mostly Japanese console games and Western, or mostly, PC games. Obviously, I feared Mr. Hinafune's belief that the Western model is superior to the Japanese one might affect the soul of this game. But with all these talented people from Japan, my fears were not that big. And then Miss Dina came along. Did Mr. Hinafune believe this is maybe what Westerners would want? That he might want to adapt himself for the Western industry if he was making a game funded mostly by Westerners, and he decided hiring this person for the sake of equality would be what Westerner Mega Man fans wanted to be represented by, regardless of her qualification? And maybe he honestly thought this was the right thing to do without fully knowing the damage it would cause? Did Mr. Inafune's affection for the West go too far? Just as if a Westerner moving to the country that starts with a J, because he believes it will be like an anime, would quickly be in for a rude awakening? Maybe, or maybe not, but the motivation behind this horrible decision could very well be funded there partly on top of the fact Miss Dina had connections to begin with. I know I've been rambling for a long time. A lot of you are probably thinking, okay, we get it, damn. But again, this is my last post, so I wanted to let everyone interested enough in me. And I know I've unintentionally developed some sort of hero-like cult on here and outside of this community. Know everything that have been going on my mind, and I mean everything, because you will not hear from me anymore. Ultimately, I am sad to announce I will be removing my pledge. Okay, I get the memo. You said it like 4 or 5 times already. Because I feel offended that this is what apparently Mega Man fans deserve as a representative. A person who can't manage a community she doesn't understand, neither cares for beyond what her job requires her to pretend she does. My trust for Mr. Inafune has also been greatly damaged. There is also the fact that I want to take no part in the drama that is being forged as we speak. So I better write this one post that will take one man out there take 40 minutes to read. Okay, where was I? Everyone will try to feed off this issue to push agendas left and right. This is a disaster, and it is clear the higher-ups have decided Dina will stay. Well then, I must leave and take my pledge with me, because she does not represent me. She's an awfully underqualified person who got her job because of cronyism abuse, and this along with nepotism, or a gigantic political problem in my home country. I absolutely despise it, and I will not enable it. And is merely pretending to care about this fan base. Every time she posts, I cringe. Every time she brings forth her persona and tries hard to show how much of a Mega Man fan and gamer she is, I die a little inside. I will feel terrible if I knew I helped enable this, and even though I already made the mistake of pledging, there is at least something I can do that speaks for itself more than this entire post. Remove my pledge. Mr. Mark has let us know that there are no funding problems even after the current backlash, so it's not like I have deluded myself into thinking, yeah, take that! Or believing that I will be delivering a catastrophic blow, or even change anything or hurt the project. It is merely but a message. A message from an angry and disappointed Mega Man fan. Interpret that message as you will. Before I go, I would also like to point out that in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, the user, Alraz, which is so far is the only moderator which made me question him, who was chosen as a moderator, is incredibly underqualified for said task. And if this is the kind of person that makes a cut as moderator in these forums, then I must sadly say that I believe the quality of this forum will be compromised. People like Mark, I assume he has moderating powers, or more in line to what a moderator, even community manager should be. Just for future reference. I wish the best of luck to everyone, and I hope you see the game you want to realize, and hope you can ride this out without a lot of damage. You did not have to go through this. You don't deserve it. You've already been through enough as a Mega Man fan, and the only reason you're being forced to deal with this disaster was because of someone who decided taking a shortcut to improve her resume was more important than the game you back! We're fighting for freedom! Woo! Braveheart! I already did that joke. Okay, where was I? The Mega Man franchise will always live on my heart. And who knows? The game might actually turn out to be fine, and this whole thing will calm down in a month or so. However, I will not wait and see how it pans out. And should it go horribly wrong, I don't want to be a part of it. I've already seen the corpse of my beloved franchise burn to a crisp before my eyes, and I don't want to see it repeat again. I don't want to just wait it out and hope for the best, especially when I gave money out of pure trust, and that trust have been lost. It is clear the community won't be listened to completely or when it comes to protecting some girlfriend's paycheck. So, I have no business being a backer or coming to these forums. It's been a hell of a annoyingly long post, isn't it?
I apologize if I went on for too long, or if it's hard to read. I've been programming for too long, and eventually you forget how to type or structure your wording and arguments. I'm no English major. I felt I wanted to leave no open ends, and this was the result.
Rock on, everyone. Goodbye. And also...
wait. We're over. We don't have to read anymore.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, what did I just read exactly? Is this like the word of somebody going to war? Or somebody was about to get his limbs cut off?
No, this is about a video game.